Alright, what's up y'all? Show's most Desmo. Chris, we're back in that video. We got Brewski, the Disastrous. If I said it wrong, don't get on me. Disastrous, whatever it calls. Set of hoes. What y'all remember about that movie Hoes? One of my favorite movies I like to watch time to time when it come on, when I do get a chance to watch it. Sometimes I do skip on it, sometimes I just want to go back and watch it. It's a good movie. I read the book too. Yes. So I mean, hey.
Holes was horrible.
Holes has been credited as a generation.
Let's see what's going on with this. Last time we watched Brewski with Rango. And y'all really much pretty liked it. So let's get it.
Did you like
On order
doing
500.
Holes?
No.
Or did you just do it because you were a kid?
No, Holes was horrible.
I mean, it's horrible. It's hot outside, but I would love to be in a movie. I ain't lying to you. A character that like Stanley and the other dude to get up to that mountain, help him out. You know, the mountain, but I get captured and they ask me where I'm going to and this and that. And I end up probably not telling at all. And they come back and, interrogation me for that whole week and stuff, and I still don't, tell. Yeah, I'll be a good important character.
Holes has been credited as a generation-defining film. Next to other Disney movies from the era, it stood out for being darker, smarter, and more mature than anything else. The movie forged its own identity while remaining faithful to the source material. But making Holes wasn't easy. Harsh weather, grueling labor, clashing actors, and an exploding refrigerator that blew a cast member out of their trailer.
I don't know if you could shoot something like that on like Netflix now, you know? They wouldn't let you put a kid. There's stuff you could do then you can't do now.
Before Holes ever made it to the screen, the book had already cemented itself as a classic 5 years earlier. But while it was critically acclaimed upon release, it would go on to become somewhat divisive. The idea for the book came to author Louis Sachar in the early 90s when he moved from San Francisco to Texas, where the summers were longer, hotter, and difficult to adjust to. Writing about the miserable heat was therapeutic for him, and he eventually imagined a boot camp where kids had to dig under the blazing sun every day. For a while, that single place was all Louis had in mind, and the story gradually grew from there. Holes was published August 20th, 1998, and it was an immediate success. Despite being a young adult novel, it had surprisingly rich characters and a complex, engaging plot that explored incarcerated youth, masculinity, class struggles, and fate from a unique perspective. The book was political in many ways, like making the kids dig holes and do all the labor just to find treasure.
And they had like a poison scorpion and all that other stuff. And some like lizards or something like that.
Else, but it also had plenty of dry, witty humor.
I know they gave the black kids some weird names, bro. One of them kids' name was Zero. I think one of them kids' name, it was three of them. One with glasses, it was a tall black dude, and there's another short black dude. Then it was like a couple white dudes. I think, and the main character is Stanley. It gotta be Stanley, right?
Balance the darker, more serious themes. The story quickly captured readers across the United States, and eventually audiences around the world. It spent over 150 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list and won several awards, including the Newbery Medal, the most prestigious honor in children's literature. An adaptation of the story was only inevitable, and studio executives were eager to get their hands on the film rights, though it didn't take long before things started to go sideways. But before digging further into that, I'd like to talk about the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp.
Broski, this what you look like? Hello? Hey. Broski. My dog, that's what you look like the whole time? Right, I knew you was, yeah, but you doing this in college. You look young. I mean, I'm young, I'm 21, but God. But shout out to Better Health, though. You know, a lot of people just need better health with a lot of things. But let's get on to the video. Shout out to that sponsor, though. You know? And Brewski.
Was Sacker unsurprisingly received a lot of calls from Hollywood executives, but he was incredibly choosy about who he would sell the film rights to, so he hesitated to accept any offers. But sometime after its release, director Andrew Davis got hold of the book and loved it. Coming off movies like The Fugitive and Under Siege, Holes would be a big change of pace. It resonated with him, and since he was already looking to prove he could do more than just action, he reached out to Louis Sacker to acquire the rights. And to Sacker, he felt like the right fit. I didn't want Holes being turned into some soft, fluffy film. I liked the idea that it would be a director coming from making tough, gritty films making it. But Andrew wanted to ensure it would be a worthy adaptation. The book had taken the world by storm, and he felt a responsibility to do it justice.
Because I didn't want to make a movie that was about a wonderfully appreciated book that didn't reflect the book, whose author said, I don't want anything to do with this.
He realized the only person who could truly bring the story to life was the author himself. So rather than making his own personal interpretation or reshaping it to be more Hollywood friendly, he brought in Lewis to write the screenplay.
When Andy suggested that I write it, my first reaction was, no, get someone who knows how to write a screenplay.
Not only that, he guaranteed the author extensive input in nearly every aspect of production. With a deal like that, it was hard to complain. Eventually, a partnership of production companies came together, with Walt Disney Pictures helping to fund the movie on a $20 million budget. Andrew Davis was set to direct, Louis Sacker was in charge of the script, and the casting process began.
Oh, there go one of the kids right there.
Theodore, is there someplace I can fill my canteen?
There go one of the dudes too, named Theodore too.
My name is not Theodore.
The character named Itch and Twitch.
Joyride.
In the book, Stanley Yelnats starts off overweight. He's described as being 3 times the size of the smallest kid in his class and is often teased for it. But through the daily intense digging at Camp Green Lake, he slims down and grows stronger. The physical transformation mirrors his mental growth as he becomes far more confident by the end. But when it came time to cast Stanley, the filmmakers decided to leave that detail out. Losing that much weight in such a short period of time was too much to ask of a teenager and just wasn't realistic. Instead, Andrew Davis envisioned a young Tom Hanks for the role of Stanley. Producer Teresa Tucker Davies suggested Shia LaBeouf, who was known at the time for starring on Disney Channel in Even Stevens. Davis saw him as a cross between Tom Hanks, Dustin Hoffman, and Gene Wilder, and felt Shia had the kind of quirkiness he was looking for.
Damn, that's good math, man.
But they also brought in plenty of star power for the adults, like Jon Voight and Sigourney Weaver, who discovered the warden role through her daughter.
Our daughter fell in love with this book named Holes by Louis Sacker, and she came running up to me and she said, Mommy, you should play this awful person.
Filming kicked off in April of 2002 and took place over the course of 10 weeks, though for some of the actors, those 10 weeks felt like an eternity. Despite being set in Texas, the movie was shot in various locations across California, primarily at Cutterback Dry Lake in the Mojave Desert. The young cast got along well, and some days just felt like a group of teenagers messing around in the desert, but not every day was like that. While they weren't forced to lose weight, they still had to go through demanding training in preparation. The stunt coordinator had them running, doing high-rep push-ups, shovel drills, and rope climbs regularly. But even that couldn't prepare them for the erratic filming conditions. It was summertime in the arid California desert, so they were almost always working in extreme heat, with temperatures reaching up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The holes could get as hot as 150 degrees. And because of Screen Actors Guild regulations, the actors were only allowed to stay in them for 5 minutes at a time.
It was 150 degrees in the hole. So you could only be in the hole for 5-minute windows per the Screen Actors Guild. So they had a rep sitting out there with a stopwatch. So you would do these takes and they'd be like, up 5 minutes, and we'd have to jump out the hole even if we were in the middle of the take.
On top of the brutal temperatures, relentless winds tore through the set, stirring up dust tornadoes. Whiteouts were frequent, with sand constantly filling the air. It was the perfect setting for this story, but far from
That's why they couldn't. I can see it now. That's why they can't make it number 2, because the weather is saying it's high. Oh, God.
Ideal for shooting a movie.
I've never been on a movie where I've had to rehearse. Like, I'll be rehearsing, and then all of a sudden, a dust tornado will be coming towards our set. Like, you gotta run in a van right away. That's never happened to me where I'm scared for, like, my safety because I'm doing a rehearsal and there's a dust tornado. Never.
As time went on, the weather began to take its toll on the cast and crew. Cleo Thomas, who played Hector Zeroni, also known as Zero, had it especially rough. A few weeks into filming, he developed a severe heat rash on his legs. He was itching and scratching so much that his mom went to the set medic, who gave her some lotion to help, but it ended up making things worse. The lotion contained alcohol, which made the rash burn even more. On this particular day, they were filming a scene where Zero had to jump on the back of Zigzag, played by Max Cash. Max was well over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that was another dude, Zigzag. It was so many characters' names on that mug, bro. I be forgetting. So it's so long since I watched the movie.
Cleo was less than 5, making the scene excruciating.
She ended up giving me the lotion that has the alcohol in it.
Oh my God.
So I'm jumping around in the school trailers screaming. They can hear me on set. Like, who is that screaming? And it's, you know, they had to just flush me down with water.
On a separate day, the desert heat triggered a refrigeration unit to explode inside a trailer, blasting a cast member out and damaging part of the wall. There was this kid who used to have a toothpick in his mouth all the time, that kid Jake. We all had these half trailers, and I was in the half trailer with him. I'm sitting in the trailer with my dad one time, we're playing gin rummy, and I hear this huge bang. The whole thing rocks.
And I walk outside and this dude has flown out of his side of the trailer, and the whole wall of the trailer has blown out. He's not just out of the whole wall is blown out of the trailer.
Oh.
And it's because
bro, thank God he survived, bro. Oh my God, he didn't survive? Nah, that's crazy.
The refrigeration unit, it was so hot in Ridgecrest, there was like an oxygen bomb that went off in this refrigerator and blew this kid across the desert. So it was like a pretty intense shoot.
Everyone on set was being pushed to their limit, and tensions between the actors only made things worse. Jon Voight played Mr. Sir, one of the film's main antagonists. His character enforced the warden's orders and often took his frustrations out on the campers. He was harsh and abrasive, yelling at them and withholding water. But Jon was known for his commitment as an actor, so even when the cameras stopped rolling, he stayed in character. Shia LaBeouf noted that he had never been around somebody like that, who doesn't break. Voight would walk around the set spitting sunflower seeds and deliberately acting rude to his co-stars. Method acting was nothing new, but antagonizing young actors and making them uncomfortable could be seen as crossing a line. One person who felt that way was Shia's dad. It became enough of an issue that he confronted Jon Voight, and the two had multiple heated arguments over his behavior. LaBeouf's dad was also taking the opportunity to flirt with Sigourney Weaver.
Also, my dad was hitting on Sigourney Weaver all the time. And that didn't work.
Beyond that, the campers spent 30 minutes each day in hair and makeup to look sunburned and tanned, and were then sent outside to be airbrushed with dirt. Jon Voight's makeup process took about an hour each day, getting him into his prosthetic belly, wig, and applying his mustache one hair at a time. Then there were the holes themselves. To make it look like thousands of holes dotted the desert, some had to be real. To show their progress over the course of the film, the crew dug 5 different sets at varying depths. Once filming at one set was complete and movie time had passed, they would move on to the next set of deeper holes. By the end of production, they had dug around 400 holes in total. It took a lot of hard work from a lot of people and a few accidents here and there, but the movie officially released on April 18th, 2003. Holes grossed $71 million at the box office, more than tripling its initial budget. Not only was it a hit for Disney, it was also well received by both critics and fans of the book. Reviews described it as dark, complex, intelligent, and well acted, and that it was a must-see for any age group. It was one of those rare movies that faithfully adapted its source material while making changes that actually served the story. Among its many great performances, it also helped transform Shia LaBeouf from a Disney Channel star into a mainstream Hollywood actor. Afterwards, Holes was frequently played on TV, which helped boost the book's popularity even further. However, in the years following the movie's premiere, the book—
Hey, where? No, show us where the rain came from, because that's just nothing but Dexter. Where did that rain come from? Nobody ain't gonna never thought about that? I just thought that was fake rain the whole time, bro. You could have told me that. When I was little, I thought that was like fake rain, or that was actually real rain. It was 50-50.
Book did face some backlash. Some parents labeled it as being too mature and violent for younger audiences. In 2004, a student's father took it to his local government and had it banned at that school.
It's always the parents hating on something. God, you can never just have something to yourself without somebody hating or doing this. Like, God. Y'all just make me mad, and just parents like that just be making me wonder how do you like live your like day-to-day life? God, like, did you do the set? Did you was there playing in the dirt, digging 400 holes? All right then, I don't want to hear that. But you hurry up and go in your governor and trying to get this banned. You wasn't out there digging them holes. 1,400 of them. Like, come on now.
But while it is considered a challenged book, it's still revered by millions of people. For those who grew up with the film, it became a Disney Channel staple, and a story that stuck with them for years. It's no coincidence that the adaptation was so good, given how heavily the author was involved. Louis Sacker even made a small cameo in the final product. A planned Disney Plus reboot series was announced in early 2025, but it was ultimately scrapped. In the end, it would be
good. We don't need another reboot or nothing like this. Keep this as a classic so we can show the other generations and generations of generation what this Holes is. And they do not need to do nothing else to this.
It'd be hard to improve on what already exists. The film remains a modern classic.
Yeah, that's it was two black dudes. This was him and all the other characters. That's Brewski. I see y'all when I see y'all. Lay y'all to the bottom of my heart, and I'm out.